Well, well, well. What do we have here? A potential Black Swan event? I'm going to talk about that. I didn't get a lot of time. On this one. This is Bizarro World, telling you. Some of you might be thinking, Shane, does everything that happens in the news, is it a black swan? Well, sometimes it could be. Sometimes it could be. You just never know. The reason why I make these videos is because I give you my predictions ahead of time, and we'll see what's going to happen over the next couple of days. So my question is the Washington, D.C. plane crash a black swan event? If you don't know, this just happened like maybe an hour ago. A plane was either taking off or landing in Washington, D.C., and looks like a helicopter. Pretty sure it is. I thought at first maybe it was a drone crashing into the side of the helicopter. They're saying now it's a Black Hawk helicopter. Like, it's amazing how fast they have this news. Like, they were rolling this stuff out right away. No, we're still getting more news. We don't know what happened. No, they're right away. They're like, it's a Black Swan, or it's a Black Hawk helicopter, military helicopter that struck the plane, down the plane. I believe it's in Virginia, and went into the water. Military grade helicopter crashing into a plane. Some of the probably the best pilots in the world, arguably, crash into a plane that's really going from left to right, and you don't see a big plane coming. Now, I don't know the size of the plane. I don't know the size of it. We're going to look at the footage. I believe it's an American Airlines plane. I believe it holds so far about 60 people. That tells me it's a small plane. Smaller. Big, but small. Not like a 737. We're going to watch it. And one of the things, the first thing that jumped into my mind, the second it happened, I went, where's RFK Jr.? Where was his hearing today? Where was it? Wouldn't you know it? It was in Washington. So my conspiracy mind starts tingling. My spider senses start tingling. What if we start getting reports tomorrow that JFK was on this plane? Now, this is total conspiracy. This is total, like, what if scenario. I get it. But I think we need to do a bit of a roll call and find out who's on that plane. And it's a tragedy. I feel bad. I feel horrible for the family. I can't imagine. They're probably just starting to get phone calls right now. So my question is, will they release who was on that plane? And I have a funny feeling they're going to do that tomorrow morning. And let's just say JFK Jr. or RFK Jr. was on that plane, because he got blasted pretty good this morning. So if he's on that plane, you know that he was doing something good, and they didn't want that to happen. Now, I can't prove it. This is really early in the game for me to create a conspiracy theory. But my question is, where was RFK Jr.? Is he on that plane? Because he was in Washington today giving a hearing where they blasted him about vaccines, being an anti-vaxxer and all this kind of stuff. And I think he came out on top. People were applauding him. His whole family was there, all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. Crazy, right? All right, so let's see here. Yeah, it's weird, right? You got to know who's on this plane. I don't know, brother Josh, do you want to come on here? Or are you going to bed? Because you're welcome to join me. Let me just see if he hears me. No conspiracy here, folks. Said by Pete Garcia. No conspiracy. I hope not. But being that I'm a Black Swan channel, I kind of look for black swan events, and I'm waiting for the news to pop in tomorrow as to who is on the plane. That's the bigger question more than RFK Jr. Like who's on this plane? All reports right now it's an accident. All reports. Seems kind of weird that a military plane can crash into a plane, but hey, crazy things have happened before. This is not the first time that this has happened at an airport. It's just the timing of it is kind of weird because we're all kind of feeling over the last couple of days that something big is going to happen. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of weird, right? So again, I don't want to say this is planned because then that it feels kind of weird, right? It feels kind of weird because then you start thinking, man, this gets really dark fast. But if he is on that plane, which I hope he's not, we got a conspiracy amongst us. We really do. Because he's on the plane, helicopter crashes into it, and it looked like it was weird. Oh, let me just show you the footage. Let's just watch the footage. Let's have a look at it because don't take my word for it. This is Bizarro World. Let's just go to the footage here. Let's see here.
But I want to play the video now because we have kind of zoomed in on this. We're being very careful. Want to play the video. Watch at the bottom lower of the screen, and you will see what appears to be the collision here as we play this breaking news. And if I can watch this and have John Scott, if he's watching this as well, bring him in to get some analysis on what we're looking at here.
Right there, you can see the helicopter.
And if I'm right, Tracy,
right
this
in the middle.
is the video. Is that correct? So the video is coming in. Do we know how far into the video we'll see the crash? Do you know where on the screen that we are looking at?
Here it comes. So here.
Yeah, so here it is. You can see on the right hand, you can see the plane coming.
Boom. Okay. There's this. I'm going to turn off this guy. And we can see the helicopter coming from way back here. We can see it to the left of your screen. So let's just play it again. There it is right there. I could still see it. So let me just go. I'll point it out to you. Where is it? There it is right there. Right there in the center of your screen, you're going to see a bright light. Looks like a building or something in front of us. There is a little dot, and I'm just going to back it up a couple of seconds because I thought it looked like it was still. For a second there. Let me back it up. Keep an eye on it. Oh, I see. So they stilled the footage. That's fine. So yeah, right at the center of your screen, they had paused the video. Now they're going to play it. And where my cursor is, that's where the helicopter, whatever this is. Again, I thought it was a drone the first time I saw this. But they're saying it's a Black Hawk helicopter. So that's the dot there. And then right here, this little ball of light on the right side, that's the plane. To the bottom right, that's another plane coming towards us. But this other little light, that's the plane either coming in. I think it kind of looked like to me it was landing. But let's just watch it now without any voice. There it is cutting across. Coming across. I think the plane is coming in to land. And then to the right, okay, to the very right, we see a bigger plane about to take off. It's just on the runway. You'll see two lights just where my cursor is on the right-hand side. That's another plane coming. That's not the plane that gets hit. It's the plane right on, I guess this would be the bottom right-hand side. And then to the left is where the helicopter is. So it was making a beeline. You could see, to me, you could see that plane coming. Come on, man. What's going on here? Look at how close it is. And then it goes up. Did you see that? It went up. Instead of going straight across, it went underneath the plane. but it went up. Watch it go up towards the plane. It's going across. And right here, it starts angling upward, going up instead of down. It goes up, right towards, and then down. Bammo. It looks like it steered itself right into that plane. We're going to watch it again. Just watch it. The trajectory is so low. Look at how low the helicopter has been going across the screen. Play it again and then watch it go up and then go down towards the plane. So here it is, right in the center of our screen. There it is. Low trajectory coming in, coming across, and there's the plane coming down, it looks like. Now watch the helicopter or whatever that is. Low trajectory. And then goes down a little bit. And then right here it goes up. It's going up. And then it dips down a little bit. And then bam, right there. And that's an explosion right away. That's almost like a disintegration. That is horrible. Let's watch it one more time here. That thing, whatever that was, that helicopter, they went for it. Look at this. Right there, and then up, and then it goes down to follow the plane as it's going down, and bam-o. People on the plane didn't even see it coming. That is craziness. Boy, oh boy. I hope not. Okay, let's hear what Pete's got to say here. I could tell you flying in and out of town cities at night, it is so hard not to get confused with all the different lights. I agree 100%. How there aren't more plane crashes every single day is amazing to me. But yeah, Josh is sick. Does he want on? Send me a link. Okay. Let me, I'll send you a link right away there, brother. Give me 1 second. It feels intentional to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just my conspiracy mind, but when you watch it, it looks like the plane or the helicopter actually did a bit of a dip. And I am wanting to see what they are going to say happen. So let's see here. Let me go to Josh. All right, and Pete, I don't know if you're still up, but if you want to come on, give us your perspective, you're welcome to do that. I'm not planning on staying on very long tonight, but I thought I would talk about this because this is a Black Swan channel, and it's kind of like my thing. So I just sent you, Pete, I just sent you a link if you want to come on. If you don't, I get it. It's late at night. I was actually just getting ready to go to bed, and then my wife say, "Did you see this?" I'm like, honey, don't tell me that just before I'm going to bed. I'm on my way to bed. And so I thought I got to make a video. So let's see here. So I think, Josh, you should have the link now. So let's see what the comments are saying here. I wouldn't be surprised if it was intentional. Nice. Prayer to any of the families affected, for sure, 100%, because this is devastating. I'm telling you, this is devastating. Hey, brother, how's it going, man?
It's doing pretty good. How are you doing, man?
Good. Fishy stuff?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the way when impact happens, how there's just explosion right away.
Yeah, the explosion thing is weird. Scott Hines is actually a pilot. The helicopter pilot might have adjusted his flight path if he saw the CRJ at the last second. That's kind of what it looks like. It kind of looks like he was going straight and then saw the plane. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, pull up versus going down. Because if the plane's going down and the helicopter, you don't want to go down and get crushed by the plane as well, if it's not a conspiracy. But it kind of looked like it went up and then down and then hit the plane. Again, that explosion is weird to me. Like, Scott, you're a pilot. Is that the type of explosion you would expect instantaneously from a Black Hawk helicopter hitting a plane? Would it just blow up like that? That's the question. It's crazy because Scott's a pilot here. So what do you think there, Josh? Look, you want to see it again?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's have a look, man. Man, you sound like you're under the weather a little bit there, brother.
I have been coughing all night last night and all day. I'm so wore out, dude.
Oh my goodness. Well, I appreciate you being on here, man. Let me just go here. Let's see right here. You're making my throat itch now. All right, let's back up here. So I'm just gonna back up just a little bit. So where is this thing here? Right. There we go. Okay, right here. So it's right at the bottom of your screen. Very low. Very low. The other plane is pretty low as well. So it's kind of weird that you can't see a plane. Now, granted, it's to the left. So maybe there's no windows to the left of the pilot that he can't see a plane. I would kind of think if you're cutting across an airport, you're kind of making that little extra look and just go, yeah, hey, you know what? There's a plane here coming. And then look, it goes down. And then right here, it's going up at an angle, going up, up, up. And then it goes level and then smack. If he had kept going straight up, he would not have hit that plane because
I'm
he
gonna
was
be
clear.
I'm
He
gonna
was
be
clear.
honest with you, man. Like there definitely could have been explosives on that Black Hawk helicopter the way it flew in, and it wasn't like he was trying to pull up to avoid it. He was like
Yeah,
they
because
were
he's
heading
low.
straight for it. It was literally
Look,
like a kamikaze mission, man.
yeah, he goes
That's what
low
it looked
right here. He's going low. He's going down, 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 sees the plane, and then goes up, 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 and then levels off right there, right, and then down into the plane. I don't know how else to look at that. If he had just continued to pull up and just like, we got to pull, what about stop? Could not a helicopter stop? Like,
I
helicopters are
mean, I
easy
mean,
to stop and go backwards.
helicopters can back off a little bit. They don't have to
Yeah,
be full fledged forward. I mean, here's the thing, who was driving this helicopter? I mean, we know it was military, but we know we've seen, terrorist attacks on military bases where people who have been radicalized have gone on shooting sprees right on base. And who's to say that this isn't something along them lines? You know what I mean? Where someone's been radicalized and decided to go on a mission to destroy. I mean, I know that with all of this deportations and all of this stuff, people being rounded up,
yeah,
the terrorists know that their window is closing to do damage, and it's no
maybe,
coincidence this happens.
maybe. What's going on there, Mr. Pete Garcia? See, you got to help us level this plane because we're going into conspiracy theory. I need somebody that has logic because I am that conspiracy guy with my channel and everything. Do you want to look at this again and have a just kind of a perspective? You want to have a little look?
No, I've seen it a few times. You can play it. So that's 12th Aviation Brigade there. They mostly do. They're Joint Task Force Joint Task Force National Capital Region. So
Okay.
their primary mission is going to be VIP movements, any type of emergency, national disaster type scenarios. In DC, they would be the first aviation assets on the ground, or in the air, being able to move people around if something were to happen. So they're always kind of on a standby,
Gotcha.
ready to go
Gotcha. And
status.
that would be that Black Hawk helicopter you're talking about?
Yeah, I was just looking at their aviation page. So it looks like they're flying Mike models. And
Okay.
Mike models are they're a glass cockpit, so
Okay.
it's very easy to get focused inside because you've got a moving map on your screens on your display inside of your cockpit. So
Okay.
Generally speaking, you'll have two pilots in the front. You'll have a left seater, right seater. Left seater will be your pilot command. Right seater will just be your pilot, probably a lower time guy. But if they are VIP guys, they're gonna want them to have a little bit of higher hours because they're flying people, congressmen or whoever,
Well,
Pentagon personnel.
the first thing I thought about is RFK Jr. was presenting at the hearing today, and I watched some of that today. And it's a smaller plane, my understanding. Like there's 60 people they're saying that quite likely passed away. Obviously, they're still combing the river and all this kind of stuff. But just have a look at the trajectory here. Like that it seems like normal. It's just low altitude flying along. Nothing crazy here, but that plane, man, it feels like you could see that plane coming in forever. It feels like,
yeah. Look, pause it right there.
Okay.
Pause it right there.
Okay. Because planes are going left to right. So if you see that plane coming, man, I haven't go ahead.
Okay, so the plane is a CRJ 700. It's a regional plane. So if you've been on those regional ones, they're the tiny ones you get in. You feel like you're in a like a Coke can. I mean, it's really I think it's 2 seats wide on one side and 2 seats on the other. So it's not a very big plane.
Gotcha.
And I did hear that the news did catch some of the air traffic control, and the air traffic controller is acknowledging that military Black Hawk, saying, "Hey, do you have the aircraft in sight?" And he's looking at, I'm assuming he's looking at the wrong plane, and he's thinking, "Yeah, I have him in sight," but he's not looking at the plane that's coming towards them because
Wow.
you got to think about, you're in the air. There is so much ground lights. There's so much light pollution. It is so hard to pick out a little a green and red light.
Would it be weird for a helicopter to just stop?
I mean, you can. I mean, I've flown into Memphis in a Black Hawk, and they made us hold it. We were just hovering at like 10,000 feet, holding, waiting for. I think that's a UPS hub. We had to wait for like some planes to come in because we're moving so much slower than they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can come to you can hold, hover, you can slow down. But I mean, that plane, let's just say that plane, I don't know how fast it's going. You'd have to get on FlightAware, one of the
because
the
it looks
flight
like it's
tracking
landing.
things to get the speed.
So I don't know what speed
Yeah,
that would be, but it feels like it's coming down to land somewhere.
Yeah, so it's coming in. If you look at Reagan's runways, there's one that looks like it's kind of going north-south, and there's another one that's kind of angled off of that. I don't know the runway.
Yeah, there's a plane to the right that's
numbers.
actually just taking off.
I bet you that pilot would have saw that other plane and said, "Yeah, I have him in sight," but he's not even looking at the plane coming at him. He's like, "Well, I'm well clear of that guy," and then he runs right into the other one, not even realizing it.
Man, that explosion, is that normal?
Yeah, I mean, if you got a full tank of gas on, you have JP8 on a Black Hawk, that's 1,500 gallons of really highly flammable fuel. It's in a fuel bladder that's supposed to be, cut down on the explosion if it were to catch fire. But I mean, if depending on how hard they hit it,
if it's landing, it's not a full tank of gas.
No, the helicopter though is full.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't
missiles.
know. I don't know. I think the plane was coming in from Wichita to land, and then that Black Hawk was taken off. There's a bunch of military bases right in that area. So 12th Aviation is there. He may have just been transitioning through their airspace to go do a training flight or something. Or who knows? I have no idea.
So just bad luck, I guess, right? In some ways, like my goodness.
Yeah. Now you're right. I would be curious. I don't think a congressman or anybody of importance would be necessarily on that CRJ 700. That's where you put pilots. And I will say that those regional flights, those are going to be your lower time pilots, lower hour pilots than the big boys like American Airlines or Delta or whatever. You have to have at a minimum to fly one of those bigger planes. You have to have a minimum of 2,500 hours pilot in command. Where the
Right.
regional ones, you could come in at 1,000 hours. I mean, I think 1,500 hours. So a lot of the accidents tend to happen on these regional flights because the pilots have less experience. So,
Interesting.
and that's a busy area, right? That's busy airspace right there. So,
Hmm.
um,
Like I
I
think like, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say my gut is telling me this was just an unfortunate accident. I
I
think
hope
I
you're
heard
right.
they pulled 4 people out of the river that went to the hospital. I have no idea if they're gonna be
Hmm.
able to recover anybody else, but
My goodness. Yeah,
the
that looked
crew on
bad.
that Blackhawks for sure did.
That's crazy. Like you just think like for me, obviously I've never flown a plane at all, but when you're coming across perpendicular, that you're kind of always kind of going left to right to go, hey, is anybody going to smoke me? I'm at an airport. Any planes, anybody coming in? And then you go up and it's like, man, like all you have to do is just pull back and just, whoa, hang on here. Pull right back and then just go backwards and stop. It's not like a plane. Like a plane I could see. I'm like, yeah, no fault here. You guys are going so fast, you smash. But I just in my head, I'm always thinking a helicopter can go forward, stop, go left, right, upside down, do a 360, a
And,
barrel roll. I don't know.
and and when it comes to the fuel situation, like the helicopter's already airborne. Where's it coming from? How far has it come? And the plane is, coming in for a landing from what we can tell. And that would mean there would be already a lot of fuel spent. And that's a pretty big explosion, in my opinion. And I'm not one to just jump right to like, oh, like this is a conspiracy. I mean, I guess, it's kind of more
That's
of a,
me. Leave that to
you
me
know what I
to
well, no,
jump. Yeah,
I mean,
you guys be
I
logical.
kind
I'll
of
be the guy.
feel that it is because it's like my dad flew helicopters in Vietnam, and
Mm,
you can back off. Like you don't have to go full tilt boogie and slam into a plane. And I'm sorry, but there's if you look at the light on that plane, it's pretty bright. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it can't be seen. And
yeah,
like you said, that helicopters it's at a certain level and then it comes up into it. And
yeah.
it's,
That's weird. So what are we looking at here, Pete?
So this is the helicopter that they would have been in, and this is what their screens would have looked like. And imagine you can't see anything outside. It's all dark. All you're seeing is just little bitty dots of light everywhere. So you're trying to pick out a plane, especially if it's coming towards you or coming at an angle at you where you really don't have a good silhouette on it. It would be
Mm-hmm.
incredibly hard. Plus, if that plane is landing, which it seemed like it was,
Yeah, it seemed like it was
landing and
going down.
taking off, yeah, landing and takeoffs are like the busiest in terms of like cockpit work. That's the
Mm-hmm.
highest stress load right there where you're trying to get your airspeed right, you're trying to get your altitude right, you're looking at all your gadgets, your radios, everything. You're making a lot of radio call. It's incredibly stressful. So these guys are looking here, they're not able to pick out that plane. And then the CRJ 700, I think it was a PSA airline or whatever. They were coming in and they're overtaxed, in terms of like their stress load of trying to make sure they're lined up for the runway because they don't want to crash on the runway and kill everybody. So it's
Mm-hmm.
incredibly stressful. I think they just unless we hear otherwise. I mean, unless
Mm-hmm.
there's some other thing that comes out of the investigation. But yeah, so that's what the pilots in the helicopter would be looking out. You would have even less of a profile in the regional jet. You have a smaller window to see out
Mm-hmm.
of. So I,
Don't
Yeah, I
I
those
would
don't
be
Hueys
blame.
have like a radar?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
a good question.
don't they have like a radar? Like, for instance, you got cars nowadays. Like, when you start to back up, it's like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like telling you that you're about to hit a post or something like that. You know what I mean? There's high end technology that we're looking at here in this cockpit, and there's also 10 pushers that their job is to keep these things separated, and this doesn't happen all the time. And I know that accidents do happen. I don't want to play that down and make a mountain into a molehill. It's a tragedy regardless, but it just seems kind of fishy to me. I mean,
it feels weird.
it's
Yeah. Scott makes a good point. Why were they cleared to cross? I have no idea. That'll come out with the ATC radio once they release the radio files from the air traffic control clearing this military aircraft across their airspace unless that helicopter could have been there somewhere on the airfield doing something, dropping somebody off. I mean, they are a VIP unit. They have multiple missions, but one of their missions probably would have been VIP. But
is that normal to go? Like maybe it looks like about 100 feet off the ground. Is that normal for a helicopter to just kind of go at that low altitude at an airport? Like, does that seem?
Yeah,
it feels weird.
It's pretty normal. The thing that happened not too long ago though is I think it was in Florida. You had a plane that had a whole bunch of cancer doctors that were making some really good progress in some directions of some cures and stuff, and that plane literally dropped out of the sky. Everybody dead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so there's a business in this. I don't know if you guys know who Mike Adams is, like the health ranger. He even said, he's like, I won't fly anywhere because it's too easy to assassinate people flying.
Yikes.
You know what I mean? And make it looks like an accident. Like he was talking about, they can put, water in the fuel or something like that and cause the engines to cut out or something like that. And he was, and I'm not promoting the band Leonard Skinner, but there was some fishy stuff about how their plane crashed and killed the majority of them. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
we're 100% that was a helicopter, right? Like it's not a missile. It's not a drone. It's not anything like that. Like we could check those off the list. This is not a terrorist. This is not a missile. This is not a drone that was just basically wrong place, wrong time, all that kind of stuff. Based on what we have so far with the news, seems like right away everybody's like Black Hawk helicopter or a helicopter.
Yeah, that's everybody's saying the same thing. They're saying it's a helicopter. So I think if that were a missile, it'd be moving a lot faster. I mean, it wouldn't be moving.
I think I agree. Like
slow.
Exactly, and it did look like it was level and going at a certain speed, whatever that is. Like just totally unaware that this plane is coming in at I don't know how many miles an hour. I'm guessing maybe 100 miles an hour coming from left to right. Like you're moving at a pretty good clip coming down. So if the perspective is off where you're not seeing to the left, but they were far back when that plane, and I know like when I'm landing, we just got in from Phoenix a few nights ago. I'm looking always at the wing of the plane as we're coming in. I just want to feel a nice landing by the pilots. I'm like, is this going to be one of those nice 3.0 landing or whatever? And I'm looking around, I'm going, oh yeah, there's a plane coming in. Like I'm always watching to see if there's how close do these planes get and stuff. But maybe that's just me on a plane where I'm just, you're getting ready to touch down. And same thing when we take off, I'm looking outside because I like watching all the cars like ants, as you pick up altitude and they just kind of disappear and time slows down, all this kind of stuff. But when we landed the other night, I'm like, wow, that's like a bumpy ride, man. I give you out of 10, I give you about a 7. You get rocked a little bit. Everybody's like, whoa. It's like, is this guy going to blow a tire or what? But we were good. It was windy. It was windy in Calgary. I must admit, it was windy. But I thought about being a pilot a while ago, but yeah, I'm glad I'm not a pilot. I am. That's you need nerves of steel.
I wish we had Bible study with Derek on because he was a pilot.
Oh, was he? Interesting.
Yeah.
Why don't you wake him up? Wake him up,
got
man.
his number,
Send him an
I'm
email.
not gonna-
Yeah, just text him.
I
Just
don't- I
call
don't
him
wanna
and
see
then
his-
hang
I
up.
don't wanna see his
Call him
gun
and
head.
hang up. What's that?
I said I don't want to see his bed head. I don't know what that hair is going to look like if
That's a
I
good
wake him
point.
up.
He might be growly too. I'm not sure. He might be a little bit angry. So yeah, I think one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video is to think about, okay, what is it? Is this normal? Is this nothing to see here? Because then tomorrow we're going to get more stuff. Like we're going to get more footage, perhaps a different angle that maybe we're like, oh man, this is Bizarro World, or this makes total sense. That it's like this is just a bad time for both pilots, the airplane and the helicopter. That's what I want to lean on. But right now I'm almost at the middle. I was conspiracy until Pete came on, and Josh kind of leveling me off. So I'm right in the middle there, boys. You brought me to the middle of conspiracy. So I'm almost on the side of
I know they've shut down the Reagan International Airport. Nothing in, nothing out right now. I do know.
So is that a different airport? Like, is there multiple airports in that area?
Well, this was the Reagan International Airport in Washington, D.C., where this happened.
It's Reagan and Dulles in that general area. But that's a busy airspace. So I'm surprised things like that don't happen more often in that area. And let me correct myself. So the generally, if you're going into the airlines to be a pilot, they start you in the regionals, and so it'd be in an airline like PSA and I haven't thought about this in a long time, but when I got a conditional job offer from United, it was through one of their regional carriers, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. I have to go back and find the emails, but yeah, so that is. You generally have your lower hour pilots in the regionals, but that's not always. I mean, you could have guys that have high hours that want to fly regional because they like to live in that area and they don't want to they don't want to be all over the world or all over the United States. So I don't know what that'll come out. That'll probably come out in the investigation about the experience level of the pilots.
Yeah.
For both crews, the Black Hawk crew, if it was in fact a Black Hawk. And there's, we have to watch so many in the Army. We had to watch so many safety videos of crashes, and there was one of the worst crashes I ever saw. These guys were, 3,000-4,000 hours, 5,000. No, it was more than that.
So this just
over
came
5,000
out.
hours for just helicopters. What's that?
This just came out. The military Black Hawk that crashed into an American Airlines flight in Washington, D.C. was reportedly flying dark per the ADS-B exchange. The chopper was not broadcasting an ADS-B signal at the time.
Flying dark? What does that mean? Like they're undercover, kind of?
Yeah, they were not broadcasting their location. Which
weird.
Makes things even fishier, yeah.
Mm-hmm. This happened about an hour ago, I say, maybe 2 hours max, because the news footage came in about an hour. We've been going 40 minutes now, so 2 hours. Yeah. So about 2 hours.
As far as the ADS-B go, I'm not sure why they're why they're dark, but they would have had their spotlights on. They would have had all their lights on. Or they should have had all their lights on, especially when you're transitioning through.
And you can see the little bit of light, emitting from it as it's flying along the horizon. So you're definitely right there, Pete, and that they did have lights on, or probably that spotlight. Yeah.
Think about how many lights are in just that area with the DC. I mean, you're just two little dots of light in a horizon of just a sea of lights. It's incredibly hard. I guarantee, I'm not going to guarantee it, but I'm going to say that more than likely they thought they had an aircraft in sight. They thought it was the one that they were looking at, and it wasn't. It was the wrong aircraft, and they ran smack into this guy.
And it's not a, hey, we have a target in sight kind of a thing. Again, the conspiracy, this would be more, do you see the plane? Like, not, do you see the plane that you got to hit? More, do you see the plane? I don't even know why you would ask that question.
Yeah, play it. You can. I think they should have strobes on. They should have their red,
Yeah,
green. Yeah.
yeah, it did have it's flashing. So that's
So
cool. And the
that,
one on the right, man, that just seems so bright over there. But
something
there
I'll
is
say
so
is
many
is
lights, man.
something
Just
I'll say is that these guys aren't amateurs either. You know what I mean? And they're used to flying in these conditions and at night and lights and all this stuff. You know what I mean? I know that humans can. There's always that factor of error, human error. Or were they under substance? Under a substance, or it could have been anything. But it just, I don't know, man. Like it just seems fishy to me,
that's
especially
horrible.
knowing that they were flying dark and that they weren't registered on the website, the ADSB exchange. Where you can track them. You couldn't track them.
So would that
So
guy in the plane that's just veering up, would he know? Or do you think he would be totally unaware? No radio, like nobody's telling him, hey, just so you know, plane crashed. We need you to land somewhere outside of like, would they tell this plane right here that's flying? Would they say, hey, something happened? Or would they just leave them so that they don't panic or anything weird?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that flight. So depending on which direction, if it was flying away from the area, they probably would not want it to come back into the airspace with
Yeah,
all
for
the stuff
sure.
that is just starting to happen.
Yeah, you
But
just let him go.
I, th- to me, and I'm just armchair quarterbacking this. If I were that helicopter pilot and I'm seeing that plane taking off, the big bright one that's we see coming towards us,
Yep.
they may have thought that was the plane. Hey, do you have that aircraft in sight? You maintain visual separation, and not even seeing the one that's coming toward them or in the same direction as them. And
Because
not
that,
only that, but like in Blackhawks, in the military, we fly at night all the time. I mean, I flew all the time, but we had goggles on. You'd wear night vision goggles, but you can't
yeah,
wear goggles in an environment like this because it's so bright. Your
so
your
bright.
right,
your night vision goggles get washed out. You can't see anything. So
right.
So is it
they're
is it
flying.
is it easy to see a plane when it's just taking off from the ground? Because if they're saying, "Do you see the plane?" Maybe they're going to escort that plane. I don't know, but it's like I can't even see it on the ground to the right, and I'm watching for it. Like right there, it's cruising along on the bottom right hand corner. It hasn't taken off yet. Cruising, cruising, cruising. I can see some of the lights on the plane. And then I think right there it's in the air now. I think
I
it's in
see
the
it.
air. Yeah,
It's
and
in
it's
there. Yeah.
starting to climb. So if the pilot, if these guys are getting a notification say, hey, do you see that plane? My goodness, these guys have to have quite the vision because you can't see that thing taking off from where they are. Like the plane is now obviously it's down the runway, it's going pretty good, and this plane is going towards that one. And there is another plane I can see up in the air as well back here, this little dot that's going seems like to the right. And then I don't know if that's a plane up there, another plane straight up. Few planes. Man, it's a busy airport. I already spotted like 3 or 4 other planes in that area.
Yeah. It would be very easy for them to misidentify which plane that they have to maintain separation from and not even see the one coming toward them. They're not getting the same radar picture that like air traffic control is getting. Like air traffic control is going to have a much better picture of who's moving. And I don't know. That's the Black Hawk, the military pilot. You're kind of at the whim of at the ATC giving you directions. I mean, you're still looking out the window at your windshield and everything, but um, you're hoping everybody's doing their job at the same time. You're
Mm-hmm.
doing your job. The ATC is doing their job. The other pilots from other planes are doing their job. So sometimes, um,
Like how like I
It
can't
veers up though, doesn't it? Doesn't the
yeah,
helicopter come up?
yeah, it kind of looks like, and and again, like if I'm a pilot and I see a plane at the last second, I'm probably pulling up or whatever versus going down. But my question is, I wish I had a better layout of the map of this area because that plane, is coming down to land. Is he coming down where these lights are here on the other side of the river? Is that kind of his trajectory? Or because it seems like he's still a ways from landing. He's pretty low.
The way that I'm seeing this is, and it could just be a mirage or whatever you want to call it, but the plane that's taking off seems a lot closer than the plane that gets hit by the helicopter. It seems that they're way off in the distance, and then you're seeing this plane come up. That they're two different areas. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, because that it crashed on the edge of that river because all those fire trucks were right there after it crashed or whatever. So that tells me it's not on this side.
That river goes outwards though, like what we're seeing right here, where we see this water in front of us. That goes back because you can see multiple bridges crossing that path.
Is there a map or something we can have a look at? Can you guys find?
Here, let me share my screen. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Share my screen. Let me see mine.
Sorry for my coughing, guys.
This one.
Yeah, are you sharing it?
Yep. Is that the one with the pilots on it?
Hold on. It should say X on the side in next order.
Okay, let me close that. Let me remove this from the stage. No, I can't. I think you have to do it on your side.
Let me get a different. Here we go.
I definitely think that as we move forward with tomorrow and the next day,
let's see
more facts. You know.
Okay.
Just Vicky has to go to bed. Vicky, you're going to bed at the wrong time, right when we're going to crack this case. All right. Okay, this is good. This is helpful. Is this the trajectory already? Sheesh, these guys are fast.
Yeah, you can get this off of a number of different flight tracking software, Flight Aware, stuff like that. But
okay, so what do we got?
So here? They're over the water. You got looks like the PSA airline. See how it's lining up for that runway, whatever the numbers are on that runway. So they would be slowing down and descending, and these other guys look like they're 117 knots, 92.
What a weird pattern. It just veered to our left, their right. Like, why would it veer that way? If they just went straight, they would have missed it. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a big sky. It's hard, it's really, when you think about it, it's really hard to hit something, but it happens,
Unfortunately,
so
that PSA, they're lined up to land. So
okay, so walk us through here. Okay, so the top line going a little bit of a zigzag, and then they made a hard left, and then straight across that little island or whatever, and then they're making a right. Man, it almost, to me, looks like they're doing a course correction to time themselves for this plane. It's weird. Like, it looks like they're making, like, the plane that was crossing over, that's just smooth, no problem. I don't see any ziggity lines.
I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but it looks an awful lot like the 9/11 flight path.
Like they could have just went
constantly correcting, trying to line up.
It's weird, man, because we're talking seconds here. So 47 minute and 15, they hang a hard left, 90 degrees. We're going left hard. And then 8 seconds later, we're starting to bank a little bit to our right. And then 10 seconds later, that gives you an idea, I guess, of their speed, right? Like they're going, what is that, 104 kilometers an hour? That can't be right. I don't think. Is that right?
Knots.
300 feet? Knots. Okay. So 300 feet in the air. So 10 seconds, 10 seconds they go, and then they make a bit of a right turn in 14 seconds, basically. And that's when they smack into this plane, and then everything goes down from there. 121 knots by the plane, 113 knots by the helicopter. It looked like he slowed down. He went from 117, made a hard left, and then went 113 and then down to 104. So he's actually slowing down, and then he sped up to 113. Weird.
Yeah.
I don't know how
If
fast the
if
knot is.
this if this helicopter here was thinking that if he's looking at another plane and he's got it confused, he's not even seeing this one. I don't know. So I don't know why they're flying this particular why they're doing this other than to stay out of like the traffic pattern area, but that still looks like that would be within their traffic pattern area.
And that plane that
but
we're seeing, that looks like the one with the big light that was taking off. That doesn't look like the plane that we saw coming down, does it? I guess you can tell by the height. It's okay, yeah, it's dropping 500 feet, 450, 400, 370. So he's going to land. Well, there's the strip, obvious right there. That's the strip he's going to.
Yeah.
If you let me share my screen,
he's lining up for final right here.
Yeah. If you let me share my screen, I actually have the audio of the crash, the air traffic control audio.
Okay, let's listen to this here. That was good, Pete, though. Man, oh man. Like I could just stare at that because clearly that plane was going to land right there. That's where he's coming in. And we could see the height, 500, 450, 300, whatever. The weird thing is the helicopter going from 104 knots to 113 knots. I don't know. Is that 50 miles an hour? I don't know what 1 knot is. I'd have to take off my shoes and socks to figure that out. But let's listen to this audio recording and see what's going on here. Okay.
All right. Hold
Late.
This is crazy, man. The accident happened in the river. Both the helicopter and the plane crashed in the river. It's east of the approach end of runway 33. Is
the airfield closed?
Yes, the airfield is closed. The airfield is closed.
Runways as well?
Yes, all runways are closed. Nobody's landing. No one's moving at all. It was probably out in the middle of the river. I just saw a fireball and then it was just gone. So I haven't seen anything since they hit the river, but it was a CRJ and a helicopter that hit. I would say maybe a half mile off the approach end of 33.
Wow, it is stunning to hear her talk about that when she said she saw the collision and then it.
Crazy.
Yeah. So definitely confirmed on runway 33. You know, I mean, there's that number.
Interesting. Can we see the runway 33 on that little chart? Did they show the runways or not really?
No, it was confirmed in the air traffic control audio that I just played.
Yeah, I mean, okay, no worries. I'm sure this will come up. They'll probably show more maps, more charts tomorrow, but it would be nice to see all the runways, how they're numbered and all this stuff. Then you can see where this plane was, I guess. Okay, let's see here. I don't see it yet.
Let me see if I can get a better layout.
What's Flight Radar 24? Is that another one of these little things? So Bubba News just said 113 knots equals 130 miles an hour. So they went from 104 to 113 and kind of the course correction thing. I'm just going to put that on the shelf. I'm like, you know what? They see a plane coming from left to right. They're like, oh man, crapola. Let's get out of the way. Let's turn to the right. And they sped up. So that could tell me maybe they're alerted and they're like, oh, we got to get out of here, get out of the way. Maybe it's easier when a plane's coming in to veer to the right than to the left because you don't want to smack into it quicker. I probably would have pulled away too. That's kind of what it looks like. They're seeing it and veering away from the helicopter.
So on the Lockheed Martin website, they're saying that Blackhawks can be remotely controlled. Just putting that out there.
That doesn't help.
That's off the
that
Lockheed
feeds
Martin
me. That
website.
feeds me. Don't feed me stuff like that.
Hey, I'm just doing my research, man. We're all
Yeah.
kind of chipping in here, and
My goodness. Yeah, it's weird, but again, if I think about the course correction there, it's kind of weird to make a hard left, but again, if they're going that way anyway, I guess it makes sense. Helicopters make a 90-degree turn or 45-degree or whatever, just like that. It's weird, but okay, you go along the shoreline, and then you see at the last second a plane, and you're like, oh my goodness, and you veer to the right, and then you clear. So that's kind of what it feels like.
I just shared that with the Lockheed Martin there with you there.
Oh, safe and reliable and uninhabited. The first autonomous black. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. Oh, this is just gonna make me not sleep tonight at all.
And that was 3 years ago. So
the very first.
And look at that. There's your DARPA, right? There's your DARPA.
Oh my goodness.
This says a new report says this was out of Fort Belvoir, Virginia. The Black Hawk was taking part in a training flight with a person from the Joint Task Force National Capital Region. That's from Reuters.
I'll play this real quick.
Yeah, don't play it because I don't want to get a strike.
Okay.
I don't want to hear
audio. I was just reading it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't want to play.
You got DARPA right on the side of that helicopter there. Nobody's even in the cockpit, man.
What's DARPA? That's
DARPA is I mean, they're the mad scientists for the military-industrial complex. They create some nasty stuff, dude.
Jeez.
Yeah, I forgot what DARPA stands for. Just right off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you, but they invent some nasty stuff, and they're all. I mean, I can get into the whole UFO thing, and they got robots. They got one called the Eater robot that DARPA made that consumes biological matter to keep moving and keep it's basically something that can burn bodies. It literally scoops up the body, burns it, and uses it as the fuel to keep going, and that's definitely DARPA.
So I'm interested in tomorrow to see what authorities, because I think somebody just mentioned in the comments that they're going to have a press conference at is it 12:30? Maybe soon, or would that be 5:00 in the morning? I don't know. I'm trying to see who said that in the comments. Who said
I can't wait till the watchdogs start coming out with what they're finding. It's one thing you get from the news, but these people that love to really dig in and get into this intricate stuff, I'm excited to see what kind of comes from that.
Yeah, it's sad in regards to the family that they have to suffer through all this stuff too. Like right away, it's like, my goodness, like you got all the stuff going on and you're probably not going to get any answers that you want to hear, especially from the airport, because they're going to shut that thing down and they're going to lock it down, and they're going to be like, nope, nobody say anything until we've properly vetted this and investigated and all this stuff. So the family's kind of out. They're not going to hear anything, which is sad.
Yeah.
That's the sucky part on all this.
Yeah, loss of life. That's what's terrible about this. It's just
somebody's always
families that got to pick up the pieces and
the pilots too on the helicopter. Like again, if there's people on there, which I'm leaning on that side that this isn't one of those DARPA ones, but they have family as well, and they're going to want answers as well. Like there's more questions.
They said what's interesting is they said that they've kind of recovered the helicopter part of the crash, and that there's no bodies. Like it's like there's nothing to really like get from it, and I find that kind of strange.
Yeah,
led me to the Lockheed Martin website.
Well, yeah, not yet. Like that explosion was pretty big, so I'm not expecting.
Oh yeah.
I'm not expecting much.
You know me though. You know me.
Yeah. No, for sure.
The only thing I would add that I'm always kind of a Occam's razor guy first, like what's the
Yeah.
most obvious kind of explanation. But on the north
I
end of
respect that.
3-3, if you keep going straight, that direction is the Pentagon. So if you can think about where the Pentagon is in DC, this
Yep.
airport's just like south of that. So
Interesting.
I don't know. I've seen enough.
Nobody's thinking
I've seen
about
enough.
RFK Jr. Could he be on that
Hmm?
plane, or is that something to check off the list that he is definitely not on that plane?
The plane was coming in from Wichita, from my understanding, so he was already in DC. He would be going
Yes.
the opposite direction if he were going somewhere.
Mr. Cheddar
But
Pepper Prepper, I love the name. Flight Radar 24 only shows one helicopter flying around the airport, probably helping search for victims. Yeah, it's because the other one was dark. And then there's no. I mean, they've found the helicopter and they haven't been able to. I don't know if they haven't found any bodies or if there wasn't any bodies to find. But
Well, if
it's
they hit the
flying
river,
dark,
they're under the river right now, and that's not an easy thing to find anybody at nighttime. Like, they're going to be blocking the area off, and then they're going to just do a clean sweep of the whole place in the morning for, they'll probably have the boats out there and stuff, fishing for people and all that kind of stuff, and trying to
they're
get the
saying
box.
they're saying that there's 4 survivors though that have been able to pull out of the river and get
My
them to
goodness.
state, to the health to the hospital.
My goodness.
I gotta get off of here. My cough,
Okay.
man. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
It was
No
nice
worries.
meeting you, Pete. Thanks for your time, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, bro. See you later.
See ya.
And then half of this channel is conspiracy now. Only half. Which one? Which one do you think is conspiracy? Is it Pete Garcia or is Shane the Black Swan? There's 2 left. Yeah,
they're saying 19 bodies they found now. So 19 bodies is what they're saying.
My goodness, that's horrible.
You just, I've flown long enough. I've seen enough crashes in my 22 years, especially in the military and combat deployments. I've just seen enough crashes over dumb things, just dumb things, that happen.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to say this is pilot error. I have no idea. I'm just gonna let them come out with whatever the report is, but most of the time it's pilot error, or they outfly their abilities and they fly in bad weather. If you are not a very strong pilot and then you get kind of caught scud running and you're kind of stuck in bad weather and stuff, and then a place like this, like DC, that is crazy busy airspace. I mean, it's just
look like it.
It's just it seems to me too easy for this just to be kind of an accident in the sense. And I honestly, I'm not making excuses for the helicopter pilots, but it seemed like the PSA airline was they were getting ready they were lining up for 3-3 to land. The other pilot, the helicopter was coming south down the Potomac, so I have no idea what they were doing. It just says that they were a training flight out of Belvoir. They've who knows what they were doing. I have no idea. But they may have been looking at the other airplane thinking, yeah, we have the aircraft in sight, and not even realizing there was another one heading right for them. So
bizarre. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of head scratching for the next couple of days as to how with all the technology that we have, why can't we prevent this stuff from happening? Why does it have to keep happening where we lose an airliner, we lose, 2 competent pilots that are in the military, with probably an expensive helicopter. I don't know how much, probably in the millions, I'm guessing. It's a tragedy that this continues to happen. And Elon Musk is planning on taking people to Mars, and we can't even fix this stuff. Like, we're just learning how to park our cars. automatically. We're just learning it. Can we just get a little bit more time before you send us to Mars to live underground for 3 or 4 generations before we can figure out the oxygen thing? I don't know. It's just
Honestly,
it's bizarre.
I feel like this is going to be one of those cases where they justify putting some type of AI system on the aircraft, whether the helicopter or the plane. I don't know what they have on planes now, but um, I know for a long time they had pilot shortages, and so they were, bringing in pilots from other countries. But I don't know the experience level of these guys. It doesn't seem like the PSA guys were doing anything wrong. I think they were lining up, basically getting ready to land, and
So
then the helicopter crew.
is it fair to say radar is kind of off the charts, that nobody uses radar? Like, to see these, is that just the movies where you're looking at a radar and you can see all the objects around you and all this kind of stuff? Is that just a movie Hollywood thing? And it's really, you got to keep your eyes peeled in a plane, because that's what we have to rely on. We can't rely on computers like the Apollo mission. It was all computers, and they could land on the moon and come back and forth, and nobody gets hurt. Everybody comes home, and they can't see out of these capsules, but they have all this kind of technology, allegedly. And then, but we can't fly a Black Hawk helicopter and worry about a plane coming in, like at an airport where we're on our highest alert because planes are coming. Like, I get nervous when I pull up to an airport, and I'm like, or golfing underneath in Calgary, you can actually golf underneath where planes are coming in. There's a couple times I've hit a couple of chip shots, and I'm like, uh-oh, that's either a really good shot or that's going to be not so good because there's a plane coming in. You got your little pitching wedge out, but you're thinking about all these planes coming in and landing and all this kind of stuff. I hope and pray one day we can solve this problem where planes just don't crash. Is that ever going to happen, or is this just a normal statistic we got to get used to? It's weird.
I mean, I can't speak for the airlines. Honestly, I have no idea what they have in their cockpits in terms of um aircraft detection, all that's the bells and whistles and stuff. So I have no idea, but I just know from the Black Hawk, if your transponders on, they should have been able to see them on their moving screens that I showed you earlier. And both pilots can you can both mirror the same kind of moving map radar, and they should have been able to see it. But again, that's a busy airspace. Both pilots are task saturated with radio calls, navigation, and again, instead of training flight, I have no idea what the pilot levels were. But I'd be willing to bet that the pilot skill levels in that Black Hawk is going to be considerably lower than the pilots in the PSA and the regional jet. So, because I think at a minimum for the regionals, you have to have 1,500 hours, whereas in a Black Hawk, depending on the pilots, one of the pilots would maybe have 2,000 hours, and the other one might have half of that, or a third of that. So who knows? I flew when we were in Korea. We used to fly around Seoul all the time, and Seoul is a massive city. I mean, it is a massive city, and you come down these um, um, valleys and stuff from, like, we were flying from kind of the DMZ area down towards Seoul, and we call it the trace. You have to go around the outskirts of the city, and if you go inside of the line, the Korean air defense guys are authorized to shoot you down. But you're also having to cross through 2 or 3 different airports, and they don't speak English. Well, they do, but very broken English, and you're trying to communicate with them, and you're not understanding what they're telling you. But you just get washed. I'm telling you, the light pollution alone it is incredibly hard to see um other things in the sky, because you've got tall buildings, they've all got lights on. I mean, it's really, really hard. So my guess would be that this is going to be the fault of the Black Hawk, that they were tracking the wrong aircraft, and they just got right in the way of this landing airplane. Maybe they thought the airfield was closed, and that's why they thought they could transition across the runway there or something. I don't know. But yeah, I've seen a lot of helicopter crashes over my career, so I know that I personally don't go to conspiracy right away with that, because I just know
Yeah.
I just know that we crash a lot, and typically helicopters are big, heavy aircraft that don't want to stay in the air. They have to they call it, you have to beat the air into submission to stay up in the air, whereas a plane will glide, fly.
Yep.
Helicopters don't. And so it's much more, I've flown planes and I've flown helicopters. Flying a plane is like, it's kind of like ballet. It's just smooth, and it's smooth movements, and it's gentle. And then in a Black Hawk, in a helicopter, it's more like karate. You're just kind of like, you've got your feet going, your hands are going, and you've got 8 different radios going. So it's a lot of work to
My
make
goodness.
that thing go. So
yeah.
but
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
no, I was just gonna say, I don't know why they were coming down the Potomac, why they changed. It seems like they were trying to avoid the airfield, but why did they cross right on the approach lane of 33? Man, maybe they thought they were below the approach angle for that thing, and they thought they were good, or I don't know what the ceilings were or what the floors were for it. A ceiling is like how high you can fly in a particular airspace. Like, you can't go above this shelf. Like, you got to think about the different classes of airspace. But Class B airspace there, it looks like it'd be an upside down kind of a cake. So they may have thought they were outside of the particular ring, and they could go to whatever altitude and they would be safe. And they weren't. I don't know.
Yeah, because the range seemed to be like 200 to 315 feet, whatever it was in that range. And then the other plane was coming in from 500 feet, 450, 400, 350. Like, it's coming down pretty fast. Like, I don't blame the pilots, because they're coming in again at 120 miles an hour from left to right, and they're dropping. And if you're not aware that they're coming in, it probably is hard to gauge perspective for how fast the plane is actually approaching. They're actually approaching like a missile would. The plane is coming in, right? And then if you see it, it kind of looked like they veered to the right to get out of the way of the plane, is kind of what it looked like. If you're going straight and you see a plane, like, oh man, let's move away from the plane, because I would never think to fly into the plane. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to veer away, and hopefully you can get away from it and just miss it. But horrible, man. I just, like, for us conspiracy guys, this is the stuff that they feed us, especially if they say things like, we lost the black box, so we don't know we can't find the black box, or we lost the manifesto, we don't know who's on the plane. Like, those things just feed us. It's like Oliver asking for more porridge. Please, sir, can I have some more? That's what they do to us. They feed us, right? Like, just come clean, say, you know what, it was helicopter error, and here's the people on the manifest. We recovered all the bodies. We recovered the 2 pilots. Here's the pictures. Here's who they are. And the funeral's next week, or whatever it is. That would be like a case closed kind of thing. But if they're like, nothing to see here, folks, we don't have any information for you for 2 weeks, we will forget about it, because there's going to be something else in the news probably tomorrow night. And us conspiracy guys will jump onto the next thing or whatever it is, and this will just get forgotten, which is sad. But that's how we are when news comes. Like, people forget about that Baltimore Harbor Bridge that went down, that collapse. I did a lot of videos on that one. And then there's nothing talked about anymore about that. That was last year, just all of a sudden we just move on from one thing, cyber explosion. Like, there's so much going on in January. It's crazy. We're not even out of the first month yet. It's nuts.
Yeah. And there's one other thing with the Blackhawk, though, that I forgot to mention. If it were 3 people on board, you'd have the 2 pilots and then a crew chief. And typically, and I'm trying to think back to my medevac days. It depends on where that backseater, where that crew chief, which side of the plane he was sitting on. If he was on the opposite side of where the approaching plane was, because typically the crew chief is looking out for other traffic. They're really the eyes that really, your backseaters are the ones that help you stay
Right.
clear of things. So he must have been on the opposite side of that approaching plane and not seen it, because he's looking out if he's on the right side of the plane, he's going to be looking up and down, left and right, as far as he can look. But if they only had 3 people on that flight, that other side of the aircraft wouldn't have had anybody looking out to notice, hey, there's a plane approaching. So that's something to consider too. But yeah, the only I mean, when it comes to the plane stuff, the big, and I don't want to go down this rabbit trail because this is something for another day and maybe something on Rumble, but is back to 9/11, the plane taking off and stuff. When you get when you go to watch the video of the pilot that had flown the same tail number that flew into the Pentagon, he had 30,000 hours, and they were interviewing him after the fact, and he said, yeah, I've flown that plane before. And the direction that plane took off, and when it got taken over, and then it was flying back toward the Pentagon, he goes, and I forget what altitude they were at, maybe 10,000 feet or something, or 8,000 feet. To get it to
be
come
really
all the way
good.
down, they'd have to do this corkscrew kind of maneuver. He's like,
Yeah,
I
not
couldn't
easy.
have done that maneuver.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. I think I remember that, where it was like whoever flew that plane was highly skilled in order to make the turn that they did in a short amount of time and to get it to that building. Like, they're good. It's crazy. So now you're feeding me more conspiracy stuff. Thank you.
We'll do that on Rumble one day, you and I.
Yeah, exactly. You just go crazy on Rumble. Yeah, because I have to kind of tone it down a little bit here and codify everything.
Yeah. I mean, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking this is just a tragic accident, like, and more than likely it's going to be the fault of the I would say the fault of the helicopter crews coming opposite of the approaching PSA flight. So the PSA flight looks like they were just getting ready to land.
That flying dark thing
up
is weird.
in.
That's weird to me. The flying dark helicopter, like you said, it was a training kind of a thing, but man, it's so bizarre. Like I want to hear what the helicopter pilots were saying. I don't know if they'll ever let us hear that. It'd be like, oh man, plane, and then move. I don't want to hear that stuff, screams, whatever. But if they're like, yeah, I got to adjust my course. I don't see it. Oh yeah, I see the plane. And then boom. It's like, well, that's kind of a weird thing to say. You're actually looking for a plane. I don't know. Yeah, well, I hope you have a good sleep tonight there, Pete, because I'll be up for a little bit.
Yeah, no, I have a routine. I just kind of every night I go play the old, I think it's 2007, 2008 Plants vs. Zombies, like the original Plants vs. Zombies. I play that and I just listen to stuff on the podcasting or whatever.
Does your wife ever sneak up on you when you're playing a video game without the lights and all of a sudden just that freaked me out, man.
Yeah, everybody does. And I just zone out because I don't have to think about it. I just play through some levels, and then by then I start getting real tired, and then I'll go to bed. But I didn't even know that this was going on until I jumped on Facebook one last time to go do whatever. Check out my Facebook post today.
Yeah.
Oh, here, I'll show it to you. Hold on, let me see. But yeah, so I just caught it, and a friend of mine's a pilot, and he's saying, started talking about this, and I was like, what? This is going on? Let me see if I can get us this. So this is when I think of you. This is you. This is what I think of when I think of you. Um, and after this, I'll have to go to bed.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
You go into zombie mode on video games. I go into zombie mode when I make a video like this. My mind shuts off. When I think, when I talk spiritually. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly it. Just all over the map.
Yeah. So
Yep. That's me.
I'm that is that's what I feel like too.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
anyways,
And my wife is like, "Hey, did you catch this?" As she's going to bed, she shows it to me. And I'm like, "You can't do that." I was getting ready to wind down. She's like, "See ya, good night." It's her fault.
yeah. Well, hey, yeah, we'll have to get together and do another program at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
I just
For
got
sure.
I got my book out. I just finished it. This is not the right cover, but I just got it, published it. So
Oh, nice.
I'll
Okay,
do
blink.
the big announcement tomorrow. Yeah,
Okay.
for it. But yeah, we're going to
Very
Ireland,
cool.
Northern Ireland, in the end of February for that conference there. So
We
I got to
will
start putting a presentation together for that. So
we'll pray for a safe flight for sure to Ireland.
yeah.
My goodness. All right, brother. Well, yeah, for sure. When you get back and when you settle down a little bit, if you ever settle down, we'll do another podcast together. That'd be
Sounds
fun.
good.
That'd be fun. But thank you for popping on here. I appreciate you, brother. You have a good
Yeah.
night.
You too. Take care.
Okay. Yep. See you later.
Bye.
All right. Now that he's gone, we can go deep into conspiracy mode now. I'm kidding. Always love Pete Garcia. He always brings me down to logic, which is what I appreciate about him, because I can go full on conspiracy right away, and you got to kind of put me on a leash and then just pull me back a little bit and say, you know what? This could be pilot error. But what I don't want is people coming back tomorrow saying, Shane, you're right. Look at this. I don't want that. I don't like always being right. I don't like that, Some people like it. I don't like being the guy that's right all the time. I don't like that, because then it can look like I'm a little bit egotistical or whatever it is. But what I'm trying to say is I'm getting a little bit tired tonight. So when I get tired, I start rattling off stuff that doesn't make any sense. So thank you guys for putting up with me and my craziness and all this kind of stuff. If you have any goodies, let me just see here if I can put this up. Any goodies, as in any articles or anything that you see. No, not that one. That's if you want to be a guest on this channel. But if you have any topics or questions around this, if there's something you need me to look at, if you can comb the internet tonight and send me links or video clips on YouTube that maybe I should have a look at, I'll have a look at it, and then I'm going to go live tomorrow night. I just haven't created a thumbnail. My wife is at a book club tomorrow night. So the second she leaves the house, I'm going to be going live. So I'm thinking about 6:30, 7 o'clock tomorrow night. We're going to go for a couple of hours, and we're going to solve this. We're going to solve this tomorrow night and figure this out. So I have to create a thumbnail for tomorrow night. Don't know what I'm going to create, but if you could do that for me, as my faithful family members, my faithful Black Swanians, if any news articles pop up or whatever that you're like, man, this is very suspicious or whatever, then just send me an email. Appreciate that. And again, that helicopter is going at 113 knots, 100 miles an hour or whatever we figured out. You don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of time to react, because the other plane's coming in at 100, 150 miles an hour, 120 miles an hour. So when you're coming in like that, it's not enough time to react. That's what I'm going with. It's not enough time. And the weird part is at the beginning, when you see them veer 90 degrees, I'm like, why are you doing that? If you guys just went straight, it would have been fine. And if you had slowed down by probably 20 knots, you wouldn't have hit that plane because it would have went right by you. So all this stuff is just kind of weird, right? Timing wise. But yeah, Die Hard 2, that's a great show, man. That's a great one. Even Die Hard is good. All right, everyone. Thank you again for being here. I will see you guys in another video. Appreciate you guys. And have a good sleep. I'll see you later.